Hi, and welcome back to All Things Pop Pop. Today I'll be discussing some of the news that's come out of the comic book TV shows. So I'll start with Arrow. First, we have Stephen Amell said that he is no longer going to be wearing that Arrow suit. And that can mean a few things. One, the show's over, which we know that's not true. Two, he's no longer going to be a vigilante, like he's done, and he's not going to return to that life. Or three, it means he's not going to wear that specific Arrow suit anymore and he'll get a new costume, which I think is most likely going to be the case. The comic character he plays is called Green Arrow. We have yet for him to transition into that. And there are a lot of things in Oliver's life that have to change. And the question is a costume change enough for Arrow to move on? You know, a lot of people think that the Arrow has been caught and is dead. So now this leaves in another space for someone to come in and potentially try to maybe mimic the Arrow. And if the costume's similar but still different and they think that the original Arrow is dead anyways, then this is a perfect time for him to come in with a new name possibly and start like a new mission. Which brings me into the next topic, which is the tone of the show. Mark Guggenheim, which is the showrunner for Arrow, he's said that they've essentially become tired of making this really moody show. He said that the show must evolve and it can't keep staying the same. And we know Arrow seasons 1 through 3 has kind of had a more like moodier Oliver. He's transitioned from being a killer to who he is now. But even then, that's worlds apart from who the Flash is and who Supergirl appears to be. So I think they're gonna lift up the mood of the show drastically, maybe not exactly to match the tone of the other shows, but you know, he did say that they're tired of making like this doom and gloom show and they do want to lighten it up a bit. So I think this is the perfect transition into the Green Arrow, a character that, you know, is a lot livelier than the Arrow that we have now. These comments tie perfectly into what Stephen Amell said in his interview, so it makes sense to me. The Arrow's gone, that persona's gone, and we're gonna have a new character come in, a new Oliver, a happier Oliver, and he's gonna be the Green Arrow perhaps, and maybe he'll be a much happier Green Arrow now that he has Felicity by his side. I also wanted to touch upon like these rumors where Diggle has the possibility of being a Green Lantern. So people somehow think that John Diggle is actually John Stewart, and they're completely different characters. John Diggle has actually been introduced into the comics, so now he's a comic book character. He was created for the show, people liked him so much, he's established in the comics. That is an honor. So why would they discredit that character by then turning him into the John Stewart Diggle, or whatever people think he is? That's not going to happen. All these Easter eggs essentially that we keep getting in the Flash, like they keep referring to Ferris Error and they keep talking about Coast City. That's super cool, you know, that they tease us with these things, but again, it's just that, it's just a tease. I don't think that the Arrow Flash universe and now the Legends universe is gonna at all in a way interact with the Green Lantern Corps. They just like to tease that, you know, there's a possibility that these things are all happening at the same time, all these superheroes are coming together, or, you know, the possibility that they could come together. But no, that's not gonna happen, and Diggle's definitely not a GL. Next, there's a photo that was released from the set of Legends of Tomorrow, but this also has to do with the Flash, the Reverse Flash in this pot, and right next to him on the floor, Jay Garrick's helmet. And Jay Garrick is the first Flash. You know, he has like that metal tin helmet and has like the little Hermes wings on it, and that is so interesting. If this is indeed Jay Garrick's helmet on the floor, does that then mean the Flash that we have, Barry Allen, he's not the first Flash, and that there's been many Flashes before him, and that there's possibly going to be more after him? What triggered Barry to become the Flash was the particle accelerator exploding. But if that hadn't happened before, how was it that Jay Garrick was able to be the Flash? I personally don't want to look too much into that Jay Garrick helmet, but for me, like, the excitement level is high, considering I like to imagine that all of this is happening in a multiversity, that somehow maybe this universe where we have this Barry Allen, maybe he was the first Flash but there have been other Flashes in other universes, and that is so cool. And especially when I tie that into what Katie Lotz said in an interview for the CW upfronts that happened a few days ago. She said that the show was so big and that she was having so much fun, and that again makes me excited because I'm like, what if they're doing some kind of multiversity? Because again, we have Jeff Johns, he's the creative director of DC, and he said, you know, the TV universe is completely separate from the movie universe. Of course, that breaks my heart, but when then you consider that they're in a multiversity, which he also confirmed, that still means that even though they're in different universes, and that even if they exist on this world, there could be other worlds with other things that are happening similarly, at least a parallel time. And that's really interesting because I like to think that maybe Harrison Wells, like, maybe it was trial and error. Maybe he kept going back in time, and maybe he's somewhere else. Maybe he was in a different universe. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it would be so cool if like the Legends of Tomorrow was able to explain that. So also regarding this multiversity, there's this picture that came out with Jason Momoa and the cast of Arrow, and that is so cool because I'm like, oh, imagine this multiversity. That'd be so amazing. So moving on to Supergirl, there was a new trailer that came out. It was a shorter trailer, about 2 minutes long, and it's been taken down multiple times, but this is the internet, guys, so I'm sure you could find it if you haven't seen it already. And pretty much just showed a little bit more footage. In the second trailer, we see her use her laser eyes. Also in this trailer, she says Earth has one more hero. So obviously we know she's talking about Superman, and that also makes me believe that maybe Arrow and Flash will never actually cross over with the show, because technically, wouldn't they consider the Flash a hero? Also, the magazine Variety, their cover is of Greg Berlanti, which is the executive producer of both the Flash and Arrow and Supergirl TV shows, as well as Legends of Tomorrow. And he has so many shows going on, but in the cover is him with Supergirl and Barry Allen, the Flash. And it's such a cool image. Barry has his mask off, and then you have Supergirl just standing there looking like a badass. It's kind of confirmed that we won't be seeing a crossover between the Flash and Arrow universes with Supergirl, at least not anytime soon. And again, that's not new. That shouldn't be surprising either, because CBS wants their show to stand alone. It shouldn't need the help of the other shows to, you know, like, carry it up into stardom. It stands by itself, and I believe that it will. And I think they also want to be able to say that it did without the help of the Flash or Arrow coming in to the show. So I understand why they would want to keep it separate, but I don't think that they'll keep it separately for long. However, there's so many issues that arise if you do decide that the Flash and Arrow exist in the same universe as Supergirl, because Supergirl exists in the same universe as Superman, and Superman saving the Earth, and for the Flash and Arrow to never have addressed that in their shows, that becomes a big issue. If they're able to explain that, then it will make sense for them to cross them over and everyone can live, you know, in the same happy Earth with all these heroes. But I don't think that it's very likely. And if Supergirl is very successful and it doesn't need to, you know, be piggybacked by Arrow and Flash, then there really is no incentive for them to cross over at any point. Again, like, the crossovers between Flash and Arrow have been super successful, and I'm sure like the success between those three shows would be even bigger. But again, it's really hard to explain Superman and Flash and Arrow, so I don't know if I don't know that they would want to do that. And last, there's some news about Titans, the TV show on TNT that was supposed to be about the Teen Titans, and I still don't even know if the show's gonna happen. They say that it is. The pilot's supposedly gonna start filming this summer, but I feel like there hasn't been enough news about it for me to feel like it's been solidified. Also, you know, we have a kind of teasing of what the lineup is gonna be, but there really is no casting of any of the characters yet. And even the people running the show have said, where does Titans fit in? There's so many shows about superheroes coming up that, is there really a place for Titans? So far, the information that we do have is that Robin is mad at Batman. He feels kind of betrayed by him because of reasons we don't know. So I like that synopsis so far. That's kind of the only information we've gotten, and the reason I like that is because Batman is an asshole, so it makes sense. Who can like him? The only person who ever gets along with Batman is Superman, because you know, Clark is like a punk. Everything just rolls off his shoulder. He doesn't take offense to anything. And it must be very hard to be his sidekick, and especially if you want to like do your own thing. If the pilot is indeed going to be shot this summer, then we'll get a lot more information as we have scenes and casting, and we actually get the actual lineup. So how about you guys? Are you excited for Titans or anything else that I talked about today? Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks again for watching.